Hello and welcome to Thursday Night VPub. As you can see, I am not Roy. He's kindly offered me the keys for a night, for one night only. So I'm going to give it my best go. Do all I can to, keep the place tidy and avoid smashing any glasses. Good start. Let's ready to rock. So if you don't know me, I'm Jeff, or Jeff Whisky. Also go by many other names like Powered Barfly, Slapper, that weird man on Whisky who won't shut up. But yeah, I'm a whiskey tuber reviewer, or at least I attempt to be. And yeah, I don't have the skill set and the slickness of Roy, but I'm going to give it my best shot. And hopefully it's not too painful. If it's too loud, let me know. If it's too quiet, if it's too pink in the background, do let me know, because as always, I have no clue what I'm doing, but hopefully you enjoy the ride. So I finally decided on the topic. If you were here 5 minutes before it started, I finally announced it. And that is to do building a collection for less than £250. Now, I thought I had this all planned to a T. And by that I mean I typed it all up today. And Roy, you may know him, sent me a message saying the plan that I'm doing for the topic, he actually covered last year or this year. So I'm basing this on 2 years ago, which is not the best start, but I'm sure we'll get there. Either way, tonight's topic of building a collection for less than £250. Roy covered this nearly 2 years to the date. As we all know, times are changing. I'll see you in a second. See, Roy has this set up beforehand. Wait there. I know what I'm doing.
Jeff Whisky.
There we go. See, that was as slick as Roy does his animation. I feel like I'm really professional here. Right, I'm going to dive into the lounge. I don't know how he kind of manages the comments. I'm not very good at it, but there's so many people here. So thank you so much for being here. I know I'm not Roy. I'm going to give it my best shot. There's 56 people watching. The sweat is already falling down my head. Thank you for being here. Straight away, people here early as well, which is great to see. I tried to chat, but I was also like, oh, I'm still in my work clothes. No one's going to recognize me in a normal shirt. And I had glasses on instead of sunglasses, which I know is not the best look, but it helps me be able to see kind of what I'm doing. Either way, thank you for being here. Donna Pass Whiskey, Molasses, Hellswood, all early doors. Lee J's gone to bed, sleep well, think of me. Loads of people in. It's ridiculous. So thank you for being here. Ben Demon Hunter. I could scroll for ages. This is really, really, really heartwarming. Thank you. Jerry Miller, Gerben Blocker, Andy Walker, multicasking, Sugar Kitty. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I will try and engage with the chat as much as possible. I'm not good at multitasking. I better put my mouse on silent just in case you can hear all the clicking. But yeah, this topic I thought, because I'm still a whiskey noob, I've only been like in the whiskey, the serious whiskey headspace for about 3-4 years. So I thought, I'm still newbie, I'm still fresh. I would like to relive my entry into the whiskey world and see if I can pick a better selection than Roy did 2 years ago. As I said, he did tell me that he has updated it since, which I should have noticed. I watch the VPub every week, so hopefully it's not too bad, but we'll give it a best shot. So I could dive straight into the list. I'm very lucky to have Whisky with Molly, Ben, doing a quiz tonight. He said it's quite easy. I think it's a bit about me, so I'm sorry about that. But I'm sure he's done a great quiz, and I'm very grateful because, again, no clue what I'm doing. Loads of new names flying in. Andy Cross, Luna Aaron, thank you for being here. Julian Rickman. Oh, it's all doing the little. Gosh, it's an art. You don't appreciate how much effort Roy does until you kind of sit in the hot seat yourself. And yes, I do have a seat today. My backside couldn't handle sitting on a stool for 2 hours. But first, cheers to Roy for everything you do for the whiskey world. Hope you've had a great holiday. And hopefully this ain't too painful for you to watch. Cheers. In fact, I better do it in my own style. Roy, cheers to you. And the people who are new here. This is a weird thing. It started organically. I slapped a bottle. People liked it. We got carried away with it, and it's now a thing. So yeah, if you see anyone refer to as a whiskey slapper, it's only a compliment, and that's me, for better or worse. But looking back at my early days in the whiskey world, I can see people doing. It's not bottle abuse molasses. It's tender, loving bottle encouragement. Like, you know, when you see American footballers and they do the little pat on the backside as they go onto the pitch, it's a bit like that. It's me warming the bottle up. Rob, hit the thumbs. Thank you. I've actually, if I've done this right, I can do fancy things like this. You ready? Whoa, that's pretty amazing. But I can also think, if I can do this correctly, which I'm sure I can. Luna Aaron, Scotch in the bio, thank you for being here. I can now bring comments. So someone needs someone to, I'll have a drink for you, and I'm sure the many brilliant barflies in tonight will as well. So this is a fancy feature as well I can do. So I have a lot of power, even though I don't know what I'm doing. And it's great to see things like this, which to me, the bottle slap, I know what that emoji is. So thank you for being a member and using those emojis. I'm sure hopefully they show correctly your end. Probably don't. I'm not very good at this YouTube malarkey. But either way, let's get to the latest comments. Guys, is flying. I'm relatively, I'll say, a small channel. So it's very brave of Roy to trust me to do this. He's had me on a few live streams. And I think I've been okay. I've been trying to be best behaved, but you know, it's what you get when you have a rambunctious kid who wears silly shirts and silly sunglasses. Also, I want to start before I crack on, just to say happy birthday to my daughter, whose second birthday was yesterday. She's my excuse for being unprepared, but it's a good excuse to have. Right, enough of that, me trying to work out what I'm doing. Let's dive on to Jeff 3.5 years ago, where I was in the very early days of my like deep dive into whiskey. And I've gone back for the bottles I bought, and there were some absolute missteps, is the polite way to put it. So I'm going to go through first, instead of diving onto Roy's 6 bottles from 2 years ago, or for my picks for now as a beginner. But yeah, based on the previous bottles I had, I haven't created a graphic for this because that was prepared. But I have created graphics such as if I show you. So when things go wrong, I can do this. So I'm prepared. So if things don't go wrong, I can at least say I've now used it, but we'll see how things go. So my 6 in the early days, starting off with the number 1, which I think most people get recommended now, or they definitely got recommended like 3-4 years ago. And that is Monkey Shoulder. I don't have a bottle of it anymore. And in truth, I wouldn't replace it. I'd love to know if you've had like Monkey Shoulder. I'd love to hear your notes in the comments. I've got the comments tab up, so I should be able to see it now. But yeah, Monkey Shoulder seemed to be, I know the Whiskey Tribe were like very heavily pushing it. So whether they had shares in the bottle or not, but that seemed to be like the go-to for all whiskey beginners. It's very malty, quite orangey. I picked it up dirt cheap at Waitrose supermarket in the UK, and it was, yeah, I can't remember how cheap, but it was really cheap. I was on holiday. It's I can't think of the best way to explain it, but yeah, I think you all know Monkey Shoulder. I'm in with a good crowd tonight, so I don't need to explain what Monkey Shoulder is. Next was Talisker 10. Everyone knows that. I did meant to pick up the bottle I have near, but I put it somewhere and I don't know. It's also why behind me it's not lit up. My daughter likes to take the remote, so I'm afraid to say it's not as lit up and illuminated as it should be, but hopefully it's not too bad and you can still see my sweaty face at the front of the screen. But Talisker 10 was at first a friend brought over like a little, not the miniature, but the sample size. And I had to kind of think, yes, I do like this. And there's a question mark at the end. It was kind of like a peat awakening, but it was because it's maybe more smoky or coastal. And yeah, it was just really like it, a bit of an awakening, but I also didn't like it. Andrew Butler. Monkey Shoulder was launched as a cocktail ingredient, and that's how I've always thought of it. I can definitely see that. Interestingly, there seems to be quite a few bottles which are built around being a cocktail, but they're quite good in their own. Glass House, Loch Lomond, that's pretty much fantastic on its own, and I think that's meant to be a cocktail drink or a cocktail mixer anyway. In my early days, the third one was Lagavulin 16. It's definitely not in favour as it once was. For good or bad reason. We all know the price has gone up massively. It's a real shame because I think that's such a sentimental whiskey for so many people. I know I bought it because I knew Ron. I didn't know him, we don't all hang out, but I knew Nick Offerman. I knew his love for that bottle kind of was always rooted in pop culture. And that's the reason why I grabbed it. And then I opened it, games night, smoky sardines filled the kitchen. The friends I was playing board games with, I think, had to leave the room. But yeah, that was a great whiskey to open up with, and sadly, one I can't afford to return to. Nordic Malt, thank you for being here. The Whiskey Tribe was responsible for that. My second whiskey purchase with Monkey Shoulder. Yeah, it was definitely them. They always said it was a crowdsourced one, so it must be good. And it's not bad. I personally would take, is it Naked Malt? It used to be called Naked Grouse, but I personally would take that well over Monkey Shoulder now. Saying that the Monkey Shoulder did turn up as a little cage, so now I'm a sucker for a gimmick. Peterhead, thank you for being here. Nick Offerman as a guest. I've tried to get hold of him because I no longer have the mustache. He's kind of fallen out of favor. He doesn't tend to answer my calls anymore. Hell's Weird, Monkey Shoulder, one of our first bottles we bought when we restarted your whiskey journey. Still sat on the top of the shelf, unused and unloved. Do you think you would return to that as like a mixer? Could surely you mix that into a curry somehow? There's so many messages. So huge thank you for being here. So yeah, on to the fourth one. So this is when I discovered whiskey is social. I don't have any friends. I could just leave it there. But I didn't have any friends who drink whiskey. And it's kind of been a long battle to get people to drink whiskey with me. And I found a group called the Certified Originals, a new dram drinker, Ant and Nikki, amazing people, super kind, had an amazing YouTube channel, which they've kind of halted. And they said, bring your own bottle tasting. And that bottle was Cutty Sark Prohibition. And it was so cheap on Amazon. I bought the bottle. I thought, yeah, I'm going to try and make some friends. Don't know if it was successful. But yeah, it's a real sentimental bottle. Absolutely love the bottle. 50% ABV. It's a blended Scotch. I don't think it's a blended malt. I think there is grain in there, but I'm not entirely sure. I think it's important to say now, my whiskey knowledge is not the best. I don't have like an archive brain like Roy. I can't reel off facts. I'm always like flicking to my little books to give me the answers. Sugar Kitty, Talisker 10 was my gateway drug. The one that was just an all-rounder. Today, getting away from the Diageo bottles, I think we all are, and go for Kilhome and Maccabee. That's a great shout. And I think, can you see that? Oh no, I'm sat in front of it. Yeah, absolutely lovely whiskey. And it can go really good prices on offer. Total Pass whiskey, Naked Grouse, great budget cherry bomb. It really is. And even though it's got Macallan in it, I would say Naked Grouse is better than the Macallans I've had. Ben Demon Hunter. My first bottle was a gifted Dalmore 12, and the first bottle of whiskey bought was Buffalo Trace. And the first big bottle, Drambuie. I have a soft spot for Drambuie. I used to have... What cocktail do you use for Drambuie? I used to have that a lot. I still use it. It was really good back when, I don't say that C word virus, but when that went round, that was really good cough medicine. Dalmore 12. I don't want to throw all my cards on the table already, but I'm quite a fan of Dalmore. I have a soft spot for it. It's a real part of the early days of my whiskey journey, and it's not very good when I return to it, but there's still that sentimental fact, and it just keeps me coming back for more. So moving on from Cutty-Sark Prohibition. Whiskey Wings, you're never late. Thank you for coming. It's crazy. And another one, Hell's Weird. I'm going to do my best. I want to try respond to every message, but I don't have the brains to do that. So I'll try get back to you either on this, or I'll leave a comment after. And feel free, if there's anything I have missed, leave a comment at the bottom, because then I can kind of go back and check it. Cutty-Sark Prohibition Blended Scotch, cracking dram for £25. It really is. And as I'll talk about later, today's the first day I've not seen it on any offer, and it's sitting at £25, 24p, which is still an absolute bargain. Sugar Kitty and Andrew Butler coming in with a rusty nail. That's the drink. I had it at we met a couple of friends, and they have those hidden bars that are quite, all the cool kids go to. So it's all luggage as a wall. You then got to find the right bag, and you can go in. And I'm sure it was a rusty nail, and it was a huge chunk of ice, very flavors and whiskey, but I couldn't tell you what it is. And then on top, it was like Drambuie and citrus, and yeah, really good. So I've always tried to recreate it, never successfully, but it's a good go-to. So that's Cutty-Sark Prohibition. And then I dipped my toes for the second time into Johnny Walker, and I got Johnny Walker Green. Now that is a bottle I'll always be happy to. Hopefully you can't hear that. A big tractor just went past the window. The joys of bumpkin life. Johnny Walker Green will always be a bottle that I return to. It's really good blended malt, and my first Johnny Walker experience was Johnny Walker Explorer Edition, which I think was just like a relabeled red label. And that was, I'm sure my wife is putting herself through the torture of watching me. Thank you for the gift, but it was horrendous. She picked it up from an airport, and it was a big bottle. And yeah, it could have easily halted my journey. That could have. But onto Johnny Walker Green, completely different side of the coin, whether it's just because it's a blended malt, but it is top stuff. I would buy another bottle, and it often goes really cheap. We've got Petehead joining me in my pain. First whiskey in my journey was Johnny Walker Red. That ended the journey immediately. I could have been exactly the same. You then tasted a Froy quart cask. So why is your name not Quarterhead? Sounds like Portishead. Anyway, thank you for being here, Petehead. Super, super generous. All your people with your time to put up with my rambling. But anyway, back to where I was. As you can see, I'm not very good at keeping track. I do get distracted very easily. Greg, thank you for being here. Enjoy your vacation. Don't worry about putting yourself through this. Check the replay if you want to, torture yourself, or if you can't fall asleep at the end of the night. But yeah, thank you for popping in. And Roy himself is here, being very, very generous. You don't have to do this. I'm watching my rambunctious friend, brave man, putting yourself through this. It must be painful to see your beloved toy be twisted and mangled. So I'll do my best to be. I almost shaved my beard into a goatee to try, get that Roy energy, but I didn't have the stones to do it. This list of 6 for 250 is in need of updating from 2 years ago. The list I did was 5 for 199 in Jan. Well, I can match that. I can remove one bottle, but we'll see how I get on with 6 for £250 nowadays, which was more of a challenge than I thought it would be. But thank you for watching and for the amazing, really kind, well, what's the term? Super chat, or yeah, I'm glad I haven't missed it. Oh, it shows me up at the top. That's handy. Only buy 12-year-old Black Label. I really wasn't a fan of it. It's a great price, and if you are a big fan, Master of Malt are currently doing 2 for 3. They've got a really pants whiskey selection in it, but Black Bottle is one of them. So you could, in theory, get a free Black Bottle if you bought 2 others. Depends how many cocktails you're making, I guess. Interestingly, it's all like Johnny Walker or special edition Taliskers and Kalilas. I wonder why, if they're not selling or not. Christian K, thank you for being here. My first dram was Glenfiddich 12. Most likely was mine as well. It's what my mum drinks, and it was in the cupboard. And when you're young, you see drink before you head out. Sounds quite typical, but as a coincidence, I was on holiday in Scotland. Didn't know anything about whiskey and toured the distillery as I passed. See, that's a great way to get in. That's really diving in head first into whiskey, going to the distillery. Was that like a real big like a whiskey awakening? Or was it kind of like that piqued your interest and then it continued from there? Or was that straight heads in, 2 feet in at a time? Al, thanks for being here. Squirrel. Jimmy Leg, good to see you. Yeah, so back to, so that was number 4, was Johnny Walker Green. Now stepping up to the last of my, it was really hard to narrow down my 6 whiskeys that out of the ones that I started with. So this ain't the ones that are in this, like what I would recommend now. But out of the beginning ones, the last one I picked was Nicker from the Barrel. And that was my first experience of Japanese whiskey. It was, even though it's not Japanese, yeah, I'm not the best to kind of dive into that deep kind of exploration of, it's not really Japanese whiskey. I don't know if it will be soon or if they're just embracing it being a international blend. But yeah, I think that's the one I was going to go for. It really was, I think because it was a Japanese whiskey, and at the time this Japanese whiskey hype was happening, and I was seeing all these prices just go crazy high. So I thought, yeah, let's quickly jump onto it, see what's happening, see what the crack is. And yeah, I loved it, and I've got another bottle since. It's currently around 40 quid. You can often, I've seen it recently, I think it could have been Amazon Prime Day. It jumped to £34, which was tempting to get another bottle, but I've got plenty to see me through, be nice and preserved for a while. And then on to, oh no, that was all 6. I've made a note of 6, but I will talk about a few missteps. As mentioned, the Johnny Walker experience. It's meant to be very good, the Johnny Walker experience. But the Johnny Walker Explorer, horrendous. But another misstep, I see it as like a welcome step, but I know many people aren't the biggest fans, and that is Hague Club. So the blue bottle of aftershave you may see in supermarkets. And I'm not talking about the Tool Hague the Clubman, which is like the Tool bottle made for cocktails. Not a fan of that at all. But they're nice. Trying to think what it is now. Yeah, it's like a blue rectangle bottle, big gold top. They're David Beckham's whiskey, so it looks and is presented exactly how you imagine it would. I've proudly got an engraved bottle on my shelf somewhere, and I couldn't find it the other day. I haven't returned to it since really diving into whiskey, but possibly a misstep, possibly a welcome stepping stone to discovering what whiskey I like. But I think we've all, it'll be interesting to hear what people's thoughts are on whiskies that people look down on, or like whiskies that you enjoy, but kind of it's a bit taboo to enjoy them. I then also, I think when I was on this whiskey journey, just, I don't know if everyone knows, but, or anyone else experienced it, it was me being suckered in that all the supermarkets were award-winning whiskey, and Aldi and Lidl kind of had these amazing gold standard whiskey, which was before I understood how whiskey awards worked. And so I saw this Highland Park 8 gold standard, like 90 out of 100, for £13. So I picked up that, and again, it was pretty good. Not amazing, but certainly filled a hole. Let's quickly just dive back in. Rob Havard, thank you for being here. This is a familiar sounding story for everyone, but one of my first ever proper whiskies was shared with my brother, a miniature Lagavulin in 16. See, that's a great way to do it. And I think miniatures, When you're starting off, easy nowadays, like after being there, thing you can look down at them because you don't get the value you would with a real bottle or a normal size bottle. But they're a really good way to explore a little bit less risk-free. I know to begin with, I bought so many sample drams just to try different whiskies. And to this day, I still do. Jimmy Leg, Glenkinchie 12. I've not had it. I think when I was watching a preview, like an old, I will be honest, I was going through old VPubs and thinking, what can I do my topic on? I originally was going to do it about design and say what I was going to title it something like, do appearances matter? Because I've got a design background, which you probably won't be able to tell when you see my awful slides that I rushed together today. But I was going to do about like branding, logos. Does coloring really matter? Because while it's great to see the natural color and the story it tells you of kind of that whiskey's experience, so many other places in the market internationally require consistency. But that was the topic I was going to talk about. And now I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, professionalism. Nick, thank you for being here, mate. Baines Cape Mountain. Oh, absolutely stunning bottle. If you like banana milkshakes, that is the bottle to go for. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's often on offer. I don't know many places that stock it. I know Amazon do, but I don't know many other retail places that do. But yes, well worth picking up. Christian also, big fan of Glenkinchie 12. Honestly, is it in the classic malt set, that one? I've not actually tried it and I've not come across it in any bars. Not that there's bars around here being in the middle of Bumpkin Land. But yeah, I'll put it on the watch list. Brian, I wish we had the same UK pricing here in Australia. You look good for doing live there. Cheers. Well, I think the camera is low enough quality. You can't quite see the sweat starting to form already. I've got like a little light here, which is currently a small light that I've then attached baking paper to make it kind of softer and more diffused. You can see it there in the shades. And then I've got another light up there and I've got a little light down here. So it's really getting muggy in this little officey room. Also, it's not as good angle as it normally would be. I've now got a chair and I've discovered this chair is too tall to go under my desk. So I'm kind of half on the chair, half squatting, got the kind of one knee out of the desk. So it's, yeah, it's maybe a good look on screen, but it's certainly not a good look here. Just making sure that I'm not getting messages saying everything's going all wrong. I don't think so. I think we're in the clear for now, but we'll see. But thank you for being here. Like, this is crazy. I still can't believe it. Like, there's 76 people watching this. Peterhead banana milkshake. I'll leave. What if I said it's like coconut, like a bounty? And I don't think you're a fan of chocolate, are you? A bit like a bounty chocolate bar with bananas. £24 currently on Amazon. I have got Amazon voucher to use up as well, which is very tempting. But yeah, lovely, lovely stuff. I still can't get over that Amazon delivers whiskey. Yeah, it's something we could really take for granted. I know for you, like, I don't know, do you have to go to a store? Is it like liquor only store that has licenses? We're very fortunate because, yeah, we can have whiskey just dropped to our door. Often it is dropped or thrown and left out in the rain. But yeah, it's a very, very fortunate place to be. Years and years ago, I got a set of 6 miniatures that the Shivas brand put out. Diageo then also had a miniature set different from the sets of 3 today. Glenkeith, Strathiley, and Glenlivet and Glen. So that's an interesting sounding set. I like Glenkeith. I've got a bottle of that. Is it Distiller's Edition, they call it? The cheap one. Big fan of Glenlivet. That was a big... That could have been in my bottle. It was actually a 6 Glenlivet 15 because that was the first one where I discovered flavour, if that makes sense. Jimmy Leg, very, very kind of you. You can't spend any of the super check. I promise it won't go on Dalmore. I've still got Dalmore Portwood is the only one I got left. I don't have any plans to buy any more. But if you ever see like a bottle of Dalmore 12 just sitting there on the shelf, You know that was because of you. Thank you, Jimmy, for giving me down one. Very kind of you. Bounty chocolate and bananas. Yeah, I'm not. If I said mix it with red wine as well, I'm sure that'd be your ultimate jam. Nick, I'm starting to dip my toe into bourbon and have to say Wild Turkey 101. That was on the list coming up. I can say no spoilers. It didn't make it. I do really enjoy it and it's a great value. But for me, I don't know, maybe it was the higher ABV, but it was definitely harder to like from the get-go. Maybe that's, yeah. Well, it's this funny thing as well with beginners. It's easy to say beginners shouldn't have high ABV. Beginners shouldn't have peated whiskies. Well, in my experience, it's been those whiskies that had the power to kind of bring new people in and really like pique people's interests. I know I gave Jameson Caskmate Stout, Glenfiddich 12, Glenlivet 15, like all these kind of softer flavors to my father-in-law, and then he tried the peated one and he really enjoyed it. The peat one was the winner by far. And I think lots of people, I see more and more stories of peat being the converter. I know Lagavulin 16 kind of and Talisker 10 definitely chipped away to make me become this sad whiskey man that I am today. Thank you for being here, Alan. Very kind of you to pop in. Sugar Kitty, in the US, every other 50 states are different. Sometimes you can only go to a store run by the state. Others you can get stuff shipped in if they have a license for that state. 50 different laws. That must make it very difficult if there's like, where especially when the bottle chasing happens. I know it's something I try to avoid, but like with Springbank, I know it's hard to get anywhere. So with these other rules in place, must make it an absolute nightmare. I will say now as well, Springbank doesn't appear on my beginners list, but we could talk about that later. Whiskey Wings. Naked Grass is one I love, very underrated. Also, I think I need to send you some bourbon samples. I'm always happy to be convinced on bourbon. I'm definitely American single malt is definitely my jam at the moment. I am currently diving more and more into bourbon. It was something I start interestingly. I don't know if this is interesting to everyone else. So if it's not, just shut up in the chat and I'll move on. But for me, bourbon and Irish whiskey is where I started. So it was with Redbreast 12 was like a real amazing whiskey. So I started this little journey to Scotch and then it went straight overtaking with bourbon and Irish. It was Woodford Reserve, Buffalo Trace, whatever whiskey you can buy in like a Weatherspoons pub for really cheap. And often it would result in me being mocked by my friends because they'll be there with their pints and I'm there with my little measure of Buffalo Trace, which I would order neat, which is always quite confusing. It's not what you expect to see with a bunch of lads out on the town. As you can see, I was never a lad. They would have let me in with a shirt like this. Very great to have you here. Right, I think it's about time I'd done enough rambling. I think I could easily get carried away just chatting away. I'm going to try maybe not match the length that Roy's VPubs are. I'll do my best to kind of keep people entertained if possible. If you're not entertained, I can only apologize. And don't worry, Roy is returning soon. And I think now that's a good time to kind of dive into the main meat of tonight. And that's talk about the 6 that I would recommend to a beginner now, or really just 6 whiskies that I rate really highly for under £250, which I think we can agree is a hard task. So if I could do this right, let's do the little split screen video. So this is what Roy picked in 2020. And since I've discovered I didn't acknowledge the fact that Roy has done an update since, to my shame. And it'd be interesting to go back and see what he picked to see how it compares to mine. But yeah, that's, as you can see, that's quite a strong lineup. You've got Ardbeg 10, great whiskey. I don't think anyone can argue with that now. Bunnahabhain 12. So this is an interesting one. To me, I thought this bottle possibly was overrated, or it was a bottle that kind of got sucked into the hype train. When I was kind of early doors into whiskey, this was a whiskey that everyone said it's amazing. I bought it on offer, and granted, I had a really rotten cork. The bottle was, I think it was Amazon, to my shame. And yeah, the cork was so rotten, and I wonder if that tainted the whiskey. So it kind of put me off. It was kind of very subdued. Maybe too much air got in because of the damaged cork. And it was just this kind of, I felt like limp, watery biscuit of a whiskey. But since, I know everyone still raves about it, and for good reason. Glen Scotia double cask. I don't know if that's the new style bottle or the old style bottle. I know they've changed it all since, but pretty good whiskey. It's a good Campbelltown. It's an accessible Campbelltown, which is the main thing. Glenallachie 12. I'm yet to get on the Glenallachie train myself. I think possibly because they tend to be more sherry dominant, and I tend to lean more to the softer orchard fruits or like the bourbon casks, like the more spirit driven as well. But it's a good bottle. Glendronach 15. Again, another bottle that's like really hyped, possibly for good reason. And I know there's this whole ladder of age statements that the Glendronach 15 really was like, was the equivalent of an 18-year-old, and Glendronach 18 was like the equivalent of 21-year-old or something. There's this knock on due to stocks, and then ending on Glencadam 10. Been really impressed, as you'll see as well. I'm not the best at speaking, so I apologize for any like stutters and like dead speeches. I try to remember names of things. Glencadam 10. So Angus Dundee, for all the ones I've tried have been really good. Glencadam, exceptional stuff. Tom and Tao, really good. It could do with a bit more life in it somehow. But I had Ian, very kindly, who works there, sent me a bottle of the Tom and Tao cigar malt, which I think has slightly higher ABV. He sent that to me just before my daughter was born. They ran lots of tastings, and just before my daughter was born, I was on one of the tastings and I couldn't join in the tasting because my wife was due to pop at any moment, so I wasn't drinking. So I was just kind of sniffing along and listening to it, and I said how nice the Tom and Tao cigar malt smell, and he was very kind and he sent it over to me, which was really, really kind of him. So very cheers to you. I'm sure you're not watching, but I know you're aware of me, and I'm sorry for that. Also to Roy, and let me check. Let's get it up, see if I can show it up. So cheers to Roy and Jimmy for your super kindness. This is for you both. My drink tonight, just so everyone knows what the crack is, started with this butterscotch, vanilla, and toast, and a generation, which is, I don't have a fancy camera, I'm afraid to say, a 30-year-old blended grain, 40%, so pretty basic, possibly coloured, I don't know. It was a gift for my 30th birthday, and really nice, really easy. So I thought if I start with something easy, that should kind of warm me up into some heavy hitters later down the line. Some people showing great lists. I saw Rob say he was going to switch one out for, there it is, probably swap the A10 for the Chegg. I think I would swap nearly any other one for the Chegg. The Chegg 10 or Rioja cask is amazing for the price. I'm quite annoyed now because I realized I should have included Rioja cask in the upcoming list, but we live and we learn. Alan, Michter's, yes, I recently just had one of their ryes. Or was it sour mash one? I can't remember, but really good. Uncle Nearest, I've heard a lot about that. Is that the ones that come off from Jack Daniels? But I heard loads of really good stuff about it. Cash strength version of that was my father-in-law's whiskey of the day. Oh, at the whiskey festival. I just thought generally in any day, which is a good whiskey to have. But no, I'll have to keep my eyes out for that. I think I've got a sample of Uncle Nearest, but I don't know what it is. Agreed on Tomata. Would prefer that to Glenallachie. Yeah, I agree. I may one day fall in love with Glenallachie. It's just I haven't found the right one. Kaisak Prohibition. Yeah, very much agree. But no spoilers. Boona 12. McLean's Notes. I've not tried that yet, but that's right up my jam. It's cheap, which I'm cheap. And I love a good blend. So yeah, I've been eyeing that up a lot. Boona Moyne. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. And Boona, not as in the curry, but as in Boona Harbin. And Arden Merkin AD. Very, very good list. Plenty of change for a bottle of gin too. But what gin would you get? Sugar Kitty for me, Tamdu instead of Glendronach. Yep, I really enjoyed Tamdu. It's very pricey though. I'd like to include Edgedower. I wanted to include the signatory Edgedower, but that seems to be really pricey. Evening Vin, great to have you here, mate. Hopefully I'm not as slick as you with live, so hopefully it's bearable enough for you to listen to. And then there is Ivan. The Nose is a great buy. Yep. If I wasn't kind of stopping myself from buying whiskey, I could have bought that multiple times. Because I've seen it, I think, under £30, which is obscene. Especially, I think it's got all the good specs as well. Hell's Weird. Sorry, Hell's Weird. Hell's Weird. Whiskey. I've heard the Lakes gin is like really good. But I'm not the biggest gin fan overall. Jimmy, Port Charlotte 10. Yep, 100% agree. You may see it later. You may not. We'll see. But back to Roy's list. I think everyone's pretty agreement there. It was a strong list now, and it was definitely a strong list then. Can I jump slide? So this is what Roy paid. So I think we should all just take a moment to drink that in. So for £249, he got a pretty solid selection. Ardbeg 10, £43. Boone Hubban. I think he based it on RRP at the time. And interestingly, if we now look at today based on the prices I could find it now, so I've not specifically hunted for sale prices. I've tried to get it at like the RRP, but a lot of them I've kind of knocked down the price a bit if I found it cheaper. So I don't know if that's painful to look at, but these are now the current costs. I'll let you, while I have a sip, I'll let you drink that in and see how painful, especially if you look at the right side. Yeah, so it's quite a jump. Yeah, so it's now 200. So when Roy got them, it's £249, now 298. Ardbeg, it seems to be roughly the same price ever, which props to them for doing that. Boone Harbin, £5 more. I think that's not too bad. You're getting a 12-year-old age statement. I think that's acceptable. Glen Scotia Double Cask. I don't know if it's because it's increased so much because they have, is it Campbelltown Harbour they call it, which is their 40% entry one. Glen Anarchy is now £48. Again, I think that's a fair jump. That's not a huge increase. And then you look at Glendronach. So to go from £63 to 79, I'm glad I didn't kind of go into the whole hype for this bottle. I could have picked it up at one time. I think I saw it for £48, and that's as close as I came to buying it. But if I was a fan and got like fell in love with that, I would come really unstuck because I couldn't afford to spend £79 now. And the most painful, Glencadam 10 from £29 up to 43. And I made sure I searched as much as I could because I couldn't believe it, to be honest. I always thought Glencadam 10 was like a cheap, or not cheap, kind of a well-priced, easy, accessible, great value whiskey. But yeah, it was quite painful when I found that out. Whiskey Whinge. That could be the name of my new channel. I could talk about prices and just call it Whiskey Whinge. I'm stealing that. Sorry, Whiskey Wings. Glencadam, I'll have a word with Duncan. He knows the bloke who works there. And I really wish I had like a didn't soundbite I could use there. I enjoy a bad joke. These could be a new series for you, Jeff. And all these mental price rises. Yeah, Whiskey Whinge. That is going to be the next. So there is Whiskey Wings, and I know there's Stuart at Whiskey Whims, but Whiskey Whinge is definitely an open market. Glass House has also made a reappearance recently, which is great for the price. Yeah, it really is. I was annoyed. I think it came on the pour and sip. I really liked it, but I just didn't buy a bottle for some reason. And then I kept seeing it going like a really good prices, and I thought, yeah, I'll get that. Never happened, but I really enjoy the ones I've tried. I think I had it on a Loch Lomond tasting or a blind tasting or something someone organised. So yeah, it's quite painful. I don't know what the next slide's going to be. Oh, there we go. So I did the maths, £51 increase. I knew I couldn't do it live on air. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what you think, but I think 3 years is £51 fair. I know financially the world's gone a bit wrong. So maybe it's a fair increase, but I don't know. It definitely doesn't sit right. So he's picked, so the Ardbeg 10, Boona Harbin 12, Glen Scotia Double Cask, Glenallachie 12, Glendronach 15, and then Glencadam 10. Now the question is, can I beat his list of 6? Can I, in theory, well, in my view, pick better whiskies? And can I now, with the increased costs, keep 6 bottles under £250? I know if I can or can't. I'm not going to say anymore. Let's dive into the list. Oh, I think the slides have already messed up. Let's see if I can quickly just see. It should be showing me runners up. So I'm sure I've done something wrong here. Let me just quickly look. Oh, would now be the time to use the little. There we go. I think now is the best time to use it. I'll quickly dash to the other screen. Won't be a second. There you go. That's enough of that. I'll still talk to people as I do it. So I'm just kind of re-upload the latest one because it's not updated. So I almost gave the game away of how much I've scored it. Let me just quickly download this. I feel like the teacher, the teacher who stands at the front and says, talk amongst yourselves. I feel a bit like that at the moment. Hopefully you all enjoyed. I see lots of people were a big fan of the goose. I'm glad that kind of appeased people. Let's quickly just get this uploaded slides. It's almost like I know what I'm doing, but I think we can all agree I don't. So it's just currently uploading. So someone's worked out, is that 20% increase, as in the maths work out 20% increase, which is pretty accurate what everyone thinks there is at the moment. Glencadam suffered the Ralph effect. I have wondered this. It's like, I know good bottles should get good praise and more people can find out about them. But I wonder how much attention distilleries are paying to that. And if they're really thinking we can now bump up our price because we know it's worth it. Whiskey and wine trails. I broke the VPub. If anyone could break the VPub, I'll be very proud if it was me. Loving the goose. Yeah, I feel like I still need to explain the whole goose thing. So yeah, I just read it as a tasting note on Roy's blind tasting, and it kind of stuck from there, for better or worse, really. Right, let's quickly see if I can just switch this to bring forth the groove. Ralph alone can't make a price increase. The demand and bottle rebuys have got to be there along with the company above. Yeah, I think so. I think you could see like Ralphie and Roy and all of us whiskey tube folk being like the very tip of the iceberg that could get a ball rolling. But I think most of these price increases could be prepared well for ages. Never seen a spinning goose before. I'm glad this VPub's brought something new to you. I thought that's a strong man holding the goose then. No strong man here. This doesn't bode well for you. I'm sure your quiz is all fine, and I'm sure it was user error on my part. So I'm just going to quickly switch now to see. There we go. So hopefully this doesn't all go wrong. So I feel like I've got a sense of deja vu. I don't know if anyone else has. Time for a refill. Hopefully you did get the whiskey you was after and, filled up your dram. Maybe we should have like little breaks in between so everyone has time to get a drink and get new cotton buds to put into your ears listening to me. Oh, Whiskey Wings, or Whiskey Winge as I'm going to call you now. No, Whiskey Wings, thank you for becoming a part of the Bottle Slap Club. You've got loads of new emojis you can use if you want to. There's a goose one, there's a bottle slap one, there's quite a few. I got bored one evening and I wanted to make it as fun as possible because I'm super grateful. I've made the memberships as cheap as YouTube will let me because I really enjoy doing this and it's great that people want to get involved. Andrew Pears, Glencadam 10 was a steal at £29. 43 is absolutely fine, although I've been getting it for around 35. I think I would be happy at 35. I'm very cheap, and 43 I'll always think in my head, oh, it was £29. Even if it wasn't even on my radar at that point, I'm still a real like grumble goose when it comes to stuff like that. I can see you're enjoying the emojis already. Sadly, they don't display great when I show it on screen, but hopefully the chat on YouTube's all gravy. Right, let's see if I can get. Oh, something's gone wrong already because it's not showing the correct font. And as a designer, that's very painful to see. Either way, we march on, we run on. So the runners up I picked on this challenge. So first one, I'm sure now I'm going to see the numbers just drop completely as everyone goes off to buy a bottle. So I based it on the prices I can find today. Very kindly, this was Whisky with Molly is to blame for finding this bargain. It really is a steal, and it was very nearly on the old Glen Scotia. What am I saying? It was very nearly on my bottle 6 list. Yeah, £64 at Lockfine Whiskies. So if everyone wants to dash off and buy a bottle, I won't be offended. So that very nearly made the cut. It was also, I wanted to include a Campbelltown, but I know it's so hard to get. It's such a unique profile. I don't know if I included one or not. We'll see as it goes on. But I tell you what, it's quite painful seeing the font not being right. As someone who works in design. Thank you for joining in, Alan. Very kind of you. Yep. Feel free to go off and buy it. Yes, this is something I agree with. The aesthetic must be respected. Yeah, so I made sure I downloaded the correct font and that lot. And yeah, I had it all set up, and I've surely made a mistake, but I think everything else is fine. I'll have to just live with the shame of having the wrong font selected. Glencadam 10 is still available around €40 or under €40 in Germany. That's pretty good. I do hear that Germany's pretty good for prices. Jimmy Leg, I'm a huge font fanatic. This one is complete crap. It is. I can only apologize. I can see the actual slideshow next to me, and I can see it with the correct font. So it hurts in here. It does. It's not Comic Sans. Chill. That is true. Saying that, Comic Sans is having a bit of a revival. There is a new version of Comic Sans being created, which is quite good. But either way, Andrew Butler, what fonts it's supposed to be? So I utilize 2 fonts for Jeff Whisky. One is Jumble, which is like that bubbly handwritten font, which I can then edit. And this one should be Lex End. And the reason I chose that font is because it's one of the most readable fonts you can get. I'm all about, including people. Or Papyrus. This is definitely the kind of chat I want to be having talking about fonts. I'm sorry to everyone who's not a fan of fonts, but this is definitely my jam. So Papyrus is the font they use for Avatar. There's quite a funny SNL sketch about it, but I'm sure it's funny to me, but probably not a lot of other people. But yeah, I could talk about typefaces all day. So the next runner up, Kilkerran 12. Oh, that's even more painful because that's pushed the £47.99 onto the next line as well now. God, the shame I'm bringing to people. Yeah, so Kilkerran 12, it didn't become a runner-up just because it's not readily available. Quite a lot of the shops I went to are now sorry, Roy's just saying he's given me all the tips. Switch away from StreamYard for the site and screen share. I think I'm just going to settle. I'm already out of my depth here. I have no clue what I'm doing, so I'm going to just have to punish myself looking at the fonts and then make that a life lesson. I will be able to, once we get onto my actual choices, I can then switch back. So as these are runners up, I'll let you kind of help me get through this. Kilcan 1235. Oh, see, I wish I knew it them days. I'm a big, you can't see it. If I keep turning this chair, I can't. My knee's in the way. So I'm a big fan of Kilkerran. Really big fan. That's probably the distillery I like most. And annoyingly, I had to fall in love with distillery, which is really hard to get. It's not Springbank levels. On the shelves here, Kilkerran 12 tends to sit around. I've seen Kilkerran 16 a few times being sat on the shelf still, which is pretty crazy. Helvetica, yeah. There's a huge. So Helvetica is like one of the most popular fonts, for good reason. It's like It's Apple's default font. I don't know if it still is, but yeah, it's good for a reason. But I gotta move on from this font talk. I could chat about fonts for a long time. Fonts, typefaces, like even down to the curling and letters. I was going to say passionate, but I think sad's the better word. So the next runner up, Ben Reyes 15. I've got a bottle of this and I haven't yet opened it, I don't think. Part of the Flora Fauna range. I think that could be a good reason for a beginner because it's kind of like I always thought these were limited bottles, but from what I can see, they're not. It's got a huge chunk of money off it. So again, if you want to go shopping and leave this, I don't mind. But it didn't make the cut. I think it's 43% this one, or maybe it's 40, but yeah, it's got a really good age statement on it for the price. Yep, I do have another runner up, Compass Box Orchard House. I think everyone's in agreement. This is a pretty stellar whiskey. I really, excuse me, need another whiskey. Ben Race 15 for 35 quid. Yeah, it really is. I think if I'd for 15 quid, for 35 quid, I think I think I would convince myself if I didn't have a bottle. Compass Box Orchard House. So I'm possibly a very shameful whiskey tuber because I don't tend to follow the pack and I've got really strange tastes. And Compass Box on the whole have kind of let me down. I've been really underwhelmed by a lot of them. And then I tried this. It went on offer, possibly on Amazon. And yeah, really, really amazing. It's like the whiskey equivalent of cider. So much apples, which you would hope from the name. Pears, fruit is just so juicy and fresh. And oh, it's delightful. I wish I poured a glass of that now. I'll talk about the whiskey I'm drinking in a minute. The Ben Race is sold out. I'm sorry. I knew I should have gone live earlier. Very keen to see the list. Don't get your hopes up too high. Because as I said, I've got kind of peculiar whiskey taste, I think, but I'm proud of it. Yep. Dingle single malt. I love this whiskey. It was my whiskey of the year last year, I think, or maybe the year before. I'll have to go back and watch the videos, but it's always painful looking back at my old videos. Possibly my favorite Irish whiskey ever, which is a very bold statement to make. I absolutely love the stuff. I think if you tried it, you know how good it is. It's similar to the Powers John Lane, but I don't know how much that is actually. I should have a look. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting distracted again. But yeah, I bought this on the Pour and Sip store really cheap. I think I paid £38 and it was covered by a voucher as well. But for £48.95, little pricey, but well worth it and proud to be a runner-up. Or another runner-up. I did more than I thought I did. So interestingly, Maker's Mark Bourbon, I thought that was in my list lower down. We may see it again, we may not. 25 quid at Tesco. I have seen it for £22. For me, I really get on like with wheat heavy bourbons, and my favorite one. No, I think it was Maker's Mark actually. So I was going to go on a tangent then, but I don't think the story would have made sense. But yeah, this one I had it on my honeymoon. We was on a beach in the Isle of Scilly. Scilly Isles, was it that? I can't remember. I'm sure I'm getting it wrong. But yeah, it was boiling hot and it was just amazing. It just hit the spot. And ever since, it's been my favorite go-to. I've got the 46, 49, the more wood integrated one. And I don't love it as much as this. For a beginner, I would give this to any person to try. It's got more flavor, softness possibly than Woodford Reserve, which could also have been on this list. And yeah, currently £25 on Tesco's, but I'm sure I've seen it cheaper than that. Oh, another runner-up. Maybe I was more prepared than I thought. So going high, Powers John Lane is your go-to Irish whiskey. I can definitely see why. I bought an old bottle really cheaply that came with like the scroll and the old logo and the old branding. And yeah, it looks a lot better than the new like pea shield shape they've got. But again, that's talking about design. And I said I wasn't going to speak about design tonight. I tried this with Lee J, who's gone to bed. We did a tasting with Billy Abbott at the Bristol Whisky Festival. And I've not experienced Glenmorangie at all. I tried maybe one other. And this just blew me away. Like, it's just caked in honey and cake and sherbet lemons. Oh, it's really tasty whiskey. And I think when you're new to whiskey, it's very easy to be drawn in by big age statements. And so for an 18-year-old whiskey for just below £70, I think that's something worth shouting about. And yeah, really good whiskey. Really proud of that to be a runner-up. Here we go. So we can now go to see the font it actually should be if I just switch these. There we go. Can anyone see a difference? Or is that just me being sad? Maybe it's not loading. Is it loading? Either way. Yep, I've just seen it is. That's good. Caked in honey. Caked in honey and honeyed in cake. It's the way it is. The Better Jeff reviewed this recently. I think it was the day he released it. The other Jeff just released a review of the Glenmorangie. Yeah, he's definitely not the other Jeff though. G Whiskey, I'll always call the Better Jeff. I'm glad to see you've enjoyed and seen that the font changed. It was like little daggers in my heart every time. I love that the slides surprise him every time. And it's not like I even planned this a while ago. I planned this recently. And by recently, I mean 20 minutes before I went live. As you can see, I'm not used to this amount of talking. Where was I? Let's quickly just get this loaded. Oh, I've done something wrong. There we go, back to where I was. Glenmorangie 18 was my Is It a Space Live when the VPub together. How long ago was that? I think you won as well, didn't you? Did we both win? And that's a good segue for me to say, Rory, if you're still watching, and I know you very kindly gave me a super chat, but I'm still waiting my sniper coins. We'll leave it at that. Oh, Whiskey 101. I'd love to know your thoughts on the Glen. Did you pick it because it's a whiskey you love, or just one that you thought would throw him off the chase? Also, I just saw it came to 100 people watching this now. That was crazy. So thank you everyone for sitting in and putting up with this awful chat. Jeff is the better spelling anyway. I don't want to argue. I would say my way's got less letters, so it's a lower score on Scrabble. Donna Bass Whiskey. Glenmorangie 18 is unlike the rest of the range. 47%, 47.3% non-chill filtered. Excellent price. It really is. This is all this talk is making me think, okay, yeah, I might go buy that bottle now. No, I'm diving into people's conversations now. It's just adult onset ADHD. I have had people say that, and I think it can only be a compliment. Right, so let's go in. Is everyone ready for my first choice? What we'll quickly do is go back to Roy's just so we can refresh our brains. So that's Roy's. This is what he's picked. I'm sure I'll be completely original. Pick my own list and we'll take it from there. So for my first one, we are starting with Ardbeg 10. So as you can see, I've copied Roy. What was I going to? I've based these interestingly. So what I've done tonight is I've based them on the price that I can find out. I pride myself for being a bargain hunter, and I think it's something that's really beneficial if you're a whiskey fan to kind of get in that bargain hunter mindset. Because I've picked up so many bottles for dirt cheap, so I've based these on the price that I can get it at. And sometimes I've been buying bottles that are I've been paying 50% off. So I think all of the bottles tonight are just using discounts. I know you can get further discount often if you sign up to a newsletter, you get 10% off, all that stuff. But either way, Ardbeg 10, £39 in Waitrose at the moment. It was also £39 in Tesco last week. So as I scribbled down ideas and I did my Tesco shop for the week, I was like, yep, cool, I'll include that. Look today, still nowhere near that price. Jimmy Logan, no one says they're cheap more than Jeff. I'm starting to believe it. Please do. Like these sunglasses, I think these are just cheap plastic ones from Amazon. The shirt is made of the finest shirt material. Yeah, I've always been a cheap fan. Cheap fan, cheap man. Waitrose, you're doing well. As I said, it was originally Tesco's, and then Google told me Waitrose has it. But Waitrose, if anyone is interested, do the best. Is it honey glazed cashew nuts or whatever? That's like around Christmas time. That's when it's worth popping into Waitrose. The Glenmoray, is it Glenmoray or Glenmurray? It's Glenmoray. I don't know. I'm sure someone can correct me. Warehouse One, fully matured in Oloroso, €9, 60% ABV for £75. So I think because they have such a range, they're always the cheapest you can get in supermarkets. I think that possibly taints it to the higher stuff. It's easy to overlook the better premium stuff they have. I picked Murray because of the age, ABV and price. A distillery often overlooked, and I didn't win. Ah, how dare he? I would say I feel sorry, but I was gunning to pick the bottle and make Roy guess as well because it's my first time being on a live. Because you picked it, I then had to panic and think, okay, quickly find a map of whiskey's distilleries in Scotland. It was kind of a mad panic search on Google. So I can't believe I won. Glenn Murray. Okay, I'll take that. Thank you. Just a note, over 100 viewers, Jeff. Yeah, it's that a beer in your pocket. Great name. And I can see, yes, it is. Yeah, it's crazy. It's really the most. So I know my channel's not to everyone's taste, and I'm so grateful for everyone who's supported. Like Roy's been crazy supportive. First Fill Whisky, he's like given my channel a shout out. So to kind of hit this level for a clueless man who doesn't know what he's doing, I've never done video editing or anything before or streaming. It really is such an amazing, humbling and heartwarming thing to see. So thank you all for being here. Emphasis on the myrrh. You sound like you're speaking the language down here. Everything's myrrh or over there. So I should be pretty good at it. Honey glazed cashews are not great for weight loss. Pretty sure about that one. As a man who's now very limited to the shirts he can wear, I very much agree, but at times the cashews win. Murray, don't do a me. Mo Ray stuck in my head forever due to a bad joke. I'm the same with Glenn, Mo, Ranji, especially during their new rebranding, which I could easily talk about all night. Waitrose used to be the only place at Xmas you could buy Worcestershire sauce Twiglets. I'll be honest, that sounds horrendous. I do like Twiglets. Maybe there's a reason you can't get them anymore, Al. And again, so I like normal Twiglets, but I'm not going to attempt to say the Worcestershire, yeah, that sauce. I'm going to ignore that. Plenty of bottle slapping going on. I like to see that. Remember to give that thumbs up while here. Thank you, Sugar Kitty. I'm very grateful that people are here. Yarp. If you've ever seen the film Hot Fuzz, that was filmed probably, I think it's something like 40 minutes from here. So yeah, we're proper. Reb, sorry I'm late to the party. You're never late. Thank you for joining in. He was busy finishing off a whiskey review. I think that's possibly the most acceptable reason to be late. Clueless, maybe. Have yet to watch a video of yours that I didn't laugh out loud at. That's not easy to accomplish. As in laugh out loud because it's so bad, I'm assuming. Either way, I've gone on another tangent. I don't know how Roy can do so, like such a coherent chat. And I'm sure he's kind of jumped off watching this because I've thrown lots of compliments his way. And I think he's a bit like me and not very good with compliments. So Ardbeg 10. Now, do I have another slide? We do have another slide. Hot Fuzz is very good. It really is. And I've got a list of films I want to rewatch, and Hot Fuzz is currently at the top. I think I've got to watch the new Guardians of the Galaxy film. I think that's now available on streaming. Curry Twiglets. Matt F coming in with the knowledge. I've never knew this existed. I'll be down for that. Right, Jeff Whisky. Oh, another Hot Fuzz comment. Once had a guy that worked for me who loved Hot Fuzz but had never seen Point Break. I would say I watched Point Break after Hot Fuzz. To my shame, I didn't get the reference. Oh, and regarding the other question, our VPub appearance was over a year ago. That was mad. It was great to do it alongside you. And I'm glad you went first because I had no clue what I was doing. I was generally bricking it. Either way, let's quickly move on before I get distracted again because it doesn't take much. My second choice. I can remember what it is. So I was giving a lot of praise. As you can see, I've not even had much to drink. And before I jumped into my choices, I was meant to talk about the whiskey I'm having. So I will do that now just to give me a chance to work out what I'm doing. So the butterscotch and vanilla, I think it's worth the price. I think you could get it on offer for £50, which for a 30-year-old whiskey is phenomenal. And it is just a 40% ABV single blended grain. And it is literally like drinking. The film Interstellar, where they've got the cornfields that are just covered in dust. It's a bit like that. That with Parma Violet Sweets. Just really bad. I know a guy that's Interstellar. That made me laugh more than it should have. I appreciate it. If any bad jokes come in, I'm all for that. But yeah, there's a scene where they've got like these crop fields just covered in dust. It reminds me of that. And then Parma Violet Sweets. And when you used to go into like Boots and shops where they sell lots of perfumes, and around Christmas time they kind of spray you as you walk past. Maybe that's just because I stink, but they kind of do it and you feel it in the back of your throat. It's a bit like that. Still here. An hour 15 in. Oh, has it been that long already? I'm not very good at time management, and only 2 whiskeys revealed. Killing it, or just killing time to get to the point where I can work out what I'm doing. I'm just going to put this up again because I've just seen it. I've enjoyed that joke a lot. Whiskey and wine trails. Please keep waving bright shiny objects in front of him, and off he goes down another road. As this comment's just pointed out as I jumped onto it. Jimmy Leg, I know you're a Wes Anderson man, but have you seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang? I haven't. Is that with Robert Downey Jr.? Like before the Iron Man days? I've not seen it. I'm aware of it, and I think I know what the cover of the DVD looks like, but I've not watched it. Northwest Bourbon, cheers. Great to have you here. Hey, me. I love your name, by the way that you pronounce it. For people like me, well needed. Keep it going, Jeff. I'm supposed to make breakfast 6 a.m. here, but whiskey live stream takes priority. You could listen to my poor bumpkin nasally tones while you make breakfast. Nothing will pair do that with some Nutella on toast to be well away. Neil Laverty, Kleinleash 14 is on the list. So looking back in 2020, that was the most voted by Roy's patrons. We'll see if it's on the list. I won't say anything, no spoilers. So on to my second choice, which is, if I can remember. Oh, yes, I do remember. So I was talking about this is a good sign that I remembered. The 18-year-old Glen Murray, sorry. And I said how good it is to get an age statement that high. And when you're new, that's like a really cool thing to impress and also to lure new people into the whiskey world. So that brings me to my second choice, Deanston 18. So I bought this at £50 recently. Absolute bargain. Really love this whiskey. I say recently, it was £50 as part of the Somerton Club. So they're a club where you pay £50 every other month, and then Dan would then buy a whiskey for that price. So you then get it cheaper than it actually would be. And yeah, Deanston 18 just blew me away. My favorite Deanston by far. Sadly, it's quite pricey at the moment. So it's $74.99 at Amazon. It was recently cheaper. I think yesterday it was £68. And this is the one that kind of annoyingly threw me off my list because the price increased so much and it really messed with the whole pricing. So I've decided to keep it in just because I love it so much. I sadly haven't got a bottle anymore, and I should have bought it when it was on offer for £67 at the end of last year. But yeah, it's best Deanston. Interestingly, looking now, I would tell my younger self, whiskey self, to buy this, but I couldn't dream of spending £75 on a whiskey. Like for me, I think my gold price range is between 30 and 50. That's where I find the most value, and it doesn't kind of make me so nervous about buying it because I'm not good at spending money. But yeah, I would buy if I was buying whiskey and I was like, running low, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon. I would 100% buy it now. We've got Hales. Best buy lately has been the Murray McDavid 7-year-old Blair Apple. I think I'm seeing lots about Murray McDavid at the moment, and lots of people seem to say how amazing it is. So I think I need to dive into that. Apologies if I am missing your chat. I'm trying to get Whiskey Monarch. I think these reveals are as much of a surprise to Jeff Whiskey as yeah, and I only went through this like 20 minutes before we went live, but I have no clue what I'm doing. I could just say someone else done this for me and I'm just winging it. But no, sadly, it's only myself to blame. Is that a beer in your pocket? I bought Deanston 18 4 years ago for £49. Like, that's obscene. That's like, if you think that was Lagavulin 16 3 years ago. So to get a Deanston 18 about 120 quid in the Philippines. How does that compare to other 18-year-olds? Is it still the kind of the lower end? Or is it much higher? Excuse me, I've got the hiccups now, and I've only had one whiskey. I should have had Gaviscon. I've made the foolish mistake of, for lunch, I had some leftover Chinese. And then I thought, I'll have something nice and light for tea. So I had hot and spicy chicken wings. That was a mistake. I've been diving into the Speyburn 18, €73. That seems a really good price. I recently bought Speyburn 15 for £43. So I'm not sure how much that equates to in euros. But yeah, that was bang, and that's Roy to blame for that. I'm also the funny thing is, it took me a while to read that because I was trying to work out what international yeah. So Reb, I'm also dyslexic and a member of the IAD, the International Dyslexics Association. There's a joke there somewhere. I can't see it. I'm sure I'm missing something, but I'll move on. I'm dyslexic, and also I don't think I've got the best brains. My wife thinks I'm special, so that's the main thing. Is it Karsten? Sorry if I'm butchering anyone's names. It's not very good. Nearly no Deanston available in Germany, especially not for sub €100. When I last had a look, it is a great dram. I wonder why there's none available. I thought Deanston 18 was quite a commonly available bottle. So interesting to know. I would love to know, is there anything you're like in Germany that you would say is the better equivalent? And to any whiskies I say tonight, if you think there's a better equivalent, let me know, especially in your local area, because I'm based in England, and I'm basing on the prices that I can get it online for because there's no whiskey shops around me. Leftover Chinese and wings. Barman, a pint of Gaviscon. I'm very new to Gaviscon. I went to a friend's stag do, and like I rushed food, and like I had a cider which I haven't drunk any alcohol apart from whiskey, Drambuie, and that for ages. So after having one single bottle of fruity cider, wherever it was, I was like, oh, That's not sitting well, and I discovered the beauty of Gaviscon. So I was showing my age as I, during a stag do, just quickly nipped off to Tesco and bought a packet of chewable Gaviscon. Pretty rock and roll here. £75 from the distillery, and Deanston 18 was one of my 7 take-home bottles for my recent trip to the in-laws. Good stuff. You don't see it in the US. See, that's a surprise again. I thought Deanston was a very kind of available bottle, especially the 18. Amazon did have Deanston 18 for £50 a year or so ago. I did see that, and I'm really annoyed I didn't buy one as well. It'll be cheaper than £75. Yeah, I think so. I was quite annoyed that it went up to £75 before today. Right, so I think we better start marching on, because everyone's being ever so patient, putting up with me rambling on as I go through. So on to bottle number 3. I didn't expect to have a slide here. So that's good. I prepared myself in case I tried to just skip on. So bottle number 3 is, I've made a note here, a bottle that I got beside me, and I think I might have to open, is, drum roll please, Cotswold Signature. And currently £30 at Waitrose. Again, Waitrose, I know what you're thinking. I've made it pretty well, I have. So for people who outside of the UK, Waitrose is it's kind of like a posher supermarket or a pricier supermarket anyway. Don't know if it's necessarily premium stuff they sell, but it's, yeah. Waitrose is a shop I never really went into growing up. But whenever you go in now, it's like, oh, this is I don't belong here. I think they probably wouldn't let me in dressed the way I am. The new beige color of Deanston is 18. It's £85 in Israel. Dark brown, but I haven't seen the dark brown box. Did it still have gold foil? Maybe I did see it. I found the new one has a slight apple vinegar note to it. I've not found that. I've not had a bottle, but if I found that, that could easily be that tied in with like sulfur and like really overly sour lemons, like my least favorite ones. So would you say Deanston 18 has over the years got worse, like many other whiskies? Gaviscon cement for the soul. It's a treat, it is Gaviscon. I've now got the big bottle in the cupboard as well as the little chewable things. Didn't bring them with me. Rookie mistake. Whiskey Wings. Waitrose is a banging place for whiskey. Everyone says this. I go into every Waitrose and every Marks and Spencer's because I always see on Facebook people posting, oh, this is reduced to clear and all these great bottles. Every time I've gone in, I've not seen a single deal. Maybe just my area. They think, yeah, we won't reduce the cost of these scum. Waiting to discover Pepto-Bismol, medicine that isn't that the bright fluorescent pink one? Posh shopping in it. Yeah, that's more my speed. But often have great deals and drams. Yes, yeah, I've yet to find any. Everyone's having, maybe it's because we're in bumpkin land, so they didn't have anything. Peathead, Cotswolds, €44. Would you say that's good, Frank, compared to other whiskies related to it? I absolutely love the whiskey. And I've got an unopened bottle next to me because I've not long finished the last one. I could open it tonight and move on to this, or I could move on to the next dram. I think I'll hold off this just because I've got so many other bottles open. Funny enough, Cotswolds was the whiskey review that I convinced Roy to join me and do a bottle slap. I don't think he realised what he's getting himself into. Oh, I'm very grateful this has been explained to me because I couldn't see it. Should be IDA, not I. See, completely past me. But I don't think that's my dyslexia. I think that's just me being a bit dim. I'll blame the bright lights. Blackford saying Stephen Fry once said he loves Sainsbury's because it keeps the riff-raff out of Waitrose. Yeah, see, I'm a Tesco man myself. I found Sainsbury's was a bit pricey. Whiskey on the West Coast, thank you for joining. I visited the Waitrose in Windsor while visiting, and the whiskey selection seemed like a great price. I do have family that live quite close to Windsor. I might need to use that as an excuse to go up and have a look. People are dressed in Waitrose, no pajamas in sight, not like Asda. See, I think this shirt could get mistaken for pajamas. I can't see myself being let in, especially because I'm wearing very revealing shorts as well. But that's for later in the live stream. Sad when the local Waitrose closed. I thought Waitrose would be one that would stay open. They seem to be doing well, selling their £5 meal deals wherever it is. Yeah, Pepto Bismol is the pink chalk that coats your stomach so you can't even get drunk because nothing gets through your stomach. I don't think that sounds that appealing. I think I'll stick for now with my Gaviscon. Do they do like tests? Does anyone know? Can you get like own brand Gaviscon? Because that would be the way. Don't you have to work a VAT to get into Waitrose? I think it's like instead of getting asked ID, it says, "Can I see your investment account?" or "Can I see your trust fund?" Whisky Molly, you need a Waitrose satin. I would love I'd rather not get one that's been sat in there. I'd rather get a new one. But a smoking jacket, I'll be all for. Now that you mention it, that shirt could be mistaken. I think I've got one that really looks like pajamas. This was the only one that kind of we could get away with not being ironed. Peter Hunt, thank you for joining. What have you missed? You've missed not a lot, me rambling about rubbish, really. People being very kind and putting up with me. That's the main thing. So yeah, I've talked about what I will do. I'll do a quick replay. So this is my bottle number 3, is it? So I'm selecting 6 bottles that I would recommend to a beginner now. And bottle number, this is a good way to pad time as well. So bottle number 1 was Ardbeg 10, bottle 2, Deanston 18, and up to bottle 3, Cotswold Signature. I think the reason as well behind picking this one, it's dirt cheap. 2, it's an English whiskey, which I think people are still, I don't know, people are still hesitant about that. And when you hear like English whiskey and they kind of shrug it off. So it's a good little conversation starter. It's a non-age statement, but I think it's like 6-7 years old now, they were saying. It's an amazing price. Interestingly, the price is about to someone's reading some of the comments. The price is going to increase soon. I think because the UK has increased their tax or something, I'm not too sure. But also, I think Rob was saying he's going to increase. I think the distillery is increasing prices slightly. But I'm hoping to get over to the distillery soon and find out. Ironed, buying clothes that need to be ironed is complete madness. I'm more of a kind of hang it up in the bathroom when you have a shower. That's normally just enough. Now you mentioned I got a pair of swimming trunks with the same print. If you could send me a link, because I would love to get a matching set. I did see a funny comment from Rob, but I don't know where it's gone. Okay, cracking lineup. No, that wasn't the funny one. Wee Beastie, £33 in Waitrose. So Wee Beastie, I didn't see that. Everywhere I saw it is the full price at like 38. So I thought I'll go for the 10 for a pound more, but I think I may regret it when I come to the end. And there we go. That was the comment I was looking for. Whiskey with Marley Ben. He revealed 3 whiskeys in 1.5 hours. That's you up to speed. Yeah, I think maybe I should start speeding this up. It's very hard not to get on a tangent. And I'm really grateful like people are engaging in the chats. I keep getting distracted and want to talk with everyone. So I'm very. This is it. The tax increase on the 1st of August was about £1 on a bottle of whiskey. Okay, so it's not that bad. Right, so let's keep this pace going and let's finally move on to bottle number 4. Is it bottle number 4? Yep, Jeff's 4th choice. Let's hide this. Oh, another one. Let's quickly go back. I'm not sure you're correct. English whiskey today actually has a very good reputation. We're even starting to see them in Israel for the first time. See, that's really good. I'm really glad. I know when I first said about English whiskey to some people, it was very much kind of like looked down upon, but so much good English whiskey has been put out. It's really made a solid platform. I have had some Duff ones, which Sadly, overpriced for the content. I had a Dartmouth one, which is my closest distillery. Very expensive bottle for a pretty substandard spirit, but maybe I just had a duff bottle. Talking of English whiskey, wonder if anyone has tried the Cheshire Single Malt. I don't know if that's been on Dram Face. I've seen that one pop up a few times. It's got a cool, is it like got a tessellating rectangle pattern on the front or something? I've seen that doing the rounds. I want to say it's on Dram Face, maybe, or I'm sure I've seen someone do a review on it. Whiskey Molly, Why Works Whiskey. I've enjoyed what I've tried. Tactical drink there. The more I drink this 30-year-old grain, the more I'm enjoying it. It's definitely, you can tell it's quite weak though. It's very not like fizzy, but you know when you buy cheap supermarket owned like Coke or Pepsi and it's really not very syrupy. But anyway, back to my fourth choice, and that is, drum roll, Westland American Oak. Okay, so a surprise to me. I absolutely love this whiskey. America, as I mentioned earlier, American single malt certainly is my jam. It's just bursting with great bottles. I'm trying to think. So there's the Westland Gariana, which I think could have easily been a winner, a contender, but it's crazy expensive now. I can't remember quite how much, but I've had to kind of move away. I never bought myself a bottle, which I am kicking myself because it was on offer. And that was just like eating, what's that cake with cherries on it? Like Black Forest Gatto. Really good stuff. But this is just an amazing choice. It's quite cool to use as a conversation starter because you can say, like, when you're a newbie, you can be like, yeah, this ain't actually a bourbon. This is it's an American single malt, and explain the differences, which I won't go into now because I'm sure I'll get it wrong. Now that's a good word for a whiskey Thursday, tessellation. That's the sad designer in me. And it's also a really good Alt J song. I've just ordered the Wildworks new release, Necessary Evil. Can't wait to try it. I think I need to dive more into Wildworks. I'm very much Cotswolds driven, been underwhelmed slightly by the lakes. Very nice liquid, but not enough, I think, to buy a bottle. What other English distilleries have I tried? I had a really nice from Ludlow. I can't remember what the whiskey was, but that was a really nice sample. I tried that. I'm glad to see JPHA do real bargains. I've never ordered from there. I often see they have really good prices, which has made me slightly hesitant. But yeah, I'm glad it's legit. I had to include this price because it's pricing really good and it's about a $5 cheaper than everywhere else. Left field, but a good choice. Gariana is way too expensive. Yeah, which is such a shame because it's a lovely whiskey. But yeah, this is the Westland American Oak. Absolutely love it. Let's but try the Westlands Solum, one of only a handful using North American peat. Oh, that's really cool. I've not even heard of it, so I'm going to just quickly, don't mind me, and just quickly write that down and look into that because I've not even heard of that one. And Westland, what's the other one? Westwood. I've not the biggest. I've had a few mixings from that, but yeah, Westland has been absolutely banging. Yeah, Westland's doing great things. Completely agree. Where was I? That's probably cheaper than anyone here can get it. We pay $60 for it. Usually more expensive than bourbon bottles. So I don't know. Is that surprising? I guess because it's a newer market, maybe. But I'm surprised that we can get it cheaper. I know some bourbons here are just obscenely priced to get over here. Have you tried any Filey Bay? Yes. Really like this flagship. Is it called? And they do an STR cask, I want to say. And then I've also tried, they did a Moscatel finish, which I liked, but I didn't enjoy as much as their flagship or I want to say they had the STR cask. I think maybe the flagship is an STR cask as well. Maybe it's like fully STR. The Lakes Whiskey Makers Reserve jams are great, but the edition's getting way too expensive now. Yeah, I looked at the Whiskey Makers Reserve, and I saw the cool ones that are coming out with like the cool artwork, mosaic, and I can't remember anymore. But yeah, it's one I wanted to like, and I've tried maybe 4 or 5 samples, and they've all been nice, but I know they've not kind of hooked me as much as like Cotswolds had. Maybe just because I'm cheap and I like to lean towards cheap things. It's been a blast hanging out with you. It's time for bed. Thank you so much for joining. Really grateful. Have a good sleep, and hopefully I don't haunt your dreams. Westland can't be bought for less than $80 in Seattle where it's made. That's crazy. Are you familiar with Copperworks single malt? No. Again, I'm just going to quickly make a little note. So Copperworks. No, I've not tried. Like American single malt is just the stuff that's coming out is just mind-blowingly good. Let's have a Spirit Embassy 2 great deals. Yeah, I've got I won a competition with Spirit Embassy, and that is if you ever see like competitions on like Instagram and that look for whiskey, do enter them because occasionally they pay off. And I think it was Spirit Embassy where I won a competition when I had like a voucher, and I think they sent me samples as well. Yeah, really good prices stuff. Westland has been on the shelf here for years, not about how old it is. Yeah, I think I first tried it. I want to say it was in 2020 when I first saw it. It could have been the UK more because I was still very new and naive. I still am, but Eagle Rare, no need for any other bourbon. That one should have been in the runners up list because it's currently, is it £29 on Tesco or maybe 31 on Club Card Deal? I've only tried a sample and I think I really enjoyed it. But then I followed it with a sample of Angel's Envy, which threw Eagle Rare way out because Angel's Enemy was lovely. I know you're a Gelson's fan. I have a bottle of their single malt release. It's filled to me, so it's yours if you want it. You're not really selling it to me, but I may message you out. Yeah, what's the one I have? I had the single pot still, I think, and that was really good because that was under £20 on offer. But I'm sorry to hear yours. Is it a Duff? Maybe you've got a Duff bottle. Yeah, because their Pinot Noir one apparently was a bit alright, but not great. Haunt our dreams. Well, you will now. Yeah, you don't want my pasty face and sunglasses chasing you around corridors like Scooby-Doo. 55 is a decent price for Eagle Rare in Kentucky these days. I don't know what the ABV is for Eagle Rare in the UK. I know, for instance, Buffalo Trace is really readily available here in the UK. But I know we can buy it for £18 a bottle, but it is only 40% ABV. Yes, I don't know if there's a difference in ABV for Eagle Rare, but I think that's kind of wine finishing pass. You're in the same boat as Frank. He too loves a good wine finish. I would say I've enjoyed wine finishes less and less now, and it tends to be paired with such. If it's paired with peat, it tends to be a lot better. But overall, yeah, I'm moving away from them. I've got to give a big shout out to Chris at Henstone. I've tried one Henstone. I think it was banging by. For the life of me, I can't remember. It was a part of exploring English whiskey sample pack, I think. Right, before I keep rabbiting on, because thank you all for being so patient and putting up with me. Where was I? Right, so on to whatever the next bottle is. Bottle number 5, so we're getting there. Thank you for listening to me as I go at the slowest pace known to man. My 5th choice, Kaiserslautern Prohibition. It had to be. I have such a soft spot for this bottle. Yeah, it was an early one. I discovered like Whiskey Discord, really dived into Whiskey Instagram. I will be buying another bottle. As you can see today, out of all days, it's the one time it's not on sale. Like I've last bought this for £19. I think as soon as I see it under £21, I will get it just because I haven't had it for a while. This, that, and that would be my third bottle, which is pretty good going for me. I think everyone knows about this bottle now. That seems like too many E's. I don't know. Could be something I've done. I don't know. Yes, I think when you're new, yeah, because £25 is such a rip-off. It is to a penny pincher like me. I think I'm possibly the cheapest person in Whiskey Tube. I think those swimming trunks were from Mountain Warehouse, but from a few years ago. But sorry, but I can't find them for sale anywhere. It's funny you mentioned Mountain. Oh no, this shirt's not, but I've got a lot of shirts from Mountain Warehouse. Really good for cheap clothes. Not sponsored. People tell me this is really improved when it was first released. I bought it early on and was very sharp, very nail polish. I would say there is like a bit of a nail polishy, like a grainy kind of sharp. I think sharp's a good way to describe it. Yeah, like alcohol, not alcohol, not ethanol, but yeah, I know what you mean. But it's really good for me. It's very salty, very cardboardy. Maybe that doesn't sound great. You know the smell of like wet cardboard when you do recycling, you leave it in the rain, and then it's just got salt on it. Yeah, really good. What are you dramming tonight? So currently it's still on the butterscotch vanilla toast and a generation, which is a 30-year-old blended grain, 40% ABV, done by the people at Master and Malt. Yeah, really cheap for a 30-year-old age statement. Really nice, but it could do with a bit more life in it, a bit more punch. At £25, a 50% non-chill filtered whiskey is a bargain. I'm assuming it's coloured. I've not actually looked, but it is. Yeah, I absolutely love it. Change Roy's mind. Was he not a fan before, or have you changed his mind to now hating it? But I rave about it. This bottle is what got me into Whiskey Tube. Like this was the one that I wanted to kind of shout about because I was like, I found something cool. 20 when Amazon Prime delivered Saturday. Ordered. Oh, I could have given you a referral link, get a little bit of money back out of Jeff Bezos. Hopefully you enjoy it and I've praised it fairly. If it turns up and you hate it, I'll buy the bottle off you for a tenner. It's a fair deal. Carbogenic acid faulty, I believe. Not down here. We all known for licking cardboard around here in these parts. I did have another point to say about this whiskey, but I've completely forgot. Because it's 50% ABV, I thought as a beginner, this is a great way to explore and try doing, like with playing with water and adding water to whiskey to see how it changes. Yeah, because that's something I was fascinated with when I began my whiskey journey. I saw Ralphie doing the teaspoons and I was really perplexed by it. And I thought, is it just like bringing down the heat? But it really does adapt the flavor and cuts out prohibition. It changes with water. It was a very delicate game, but it was really fascinating to see. Okay, one pipette, it does this, it brings out more of the salty element. Two, it kind of made it a bit green and kind of grassy. Yeah, it's a good and because it's so cheap. Well, 25, 24 is a bit pricey for me because overall it's cheap. It's just safe to kind of experiment with. I've never seen this cuts out prohibition. Hopefully you can. I think it was quite available. Maybe it's not. It was made to celebrate American prohibition, and someone McCoy. I can't remember who the person was, but it's related to someone McCoy. You batch of cardboard liquors can't be trusted. No, but if you know a better way to seal 50 envelopes, I'd like to hear it. It's unavailable. Well, that's surprising. I would assumed. Also great to have you here, Overland Drams. I would assume this has been a bottle that was pretty worldwide, because I know Cutty Sark do a lot of, like, entry their yellow bottle. I think it's just referred to as Cutty Sark, but I'd assume this would have been similar, but unfortunately not. If you ever do see it, it's well worth trying. Oh, it's telling me that's my last slide, which I know it's not. So let's quickly jump to the old version. Maybe that's a sign that I should end it here. There should be one more. We're gonna have to jump to the dodgy font one, and let's see. Oh, it nearly gave the game away. There we go. I hope this ain't too flashing for everyone as it goes through. So we have Cutty Sark Prohibition. And then next we have on to the sixth and final choice. And in truth, it wouldn't be a VPub without mentioning it. Ardnamurchan AD. It is beside me. It is. And for me, I'm going to say straight off the bat, it is the best cocktail whiskey I've ever used. I've got Roy to thank for this, so cheers, Roy. This is an absolute banger. It's come out very, very bubbly. Oh, it just smells great. It's a bit peanut buttery, I find this is. Oh, that's really nice. Yeah, so Ardnamurchan AD, currently £40.90 on the Pour and Sip store. Pour and Sip is like a member store where they give you like a sample pack every month, and they have their member stores like discounted. So it's quite a good discount. It's about £4 off, I think, off the retail. Super dram, top quality and great value. Way too nice to put into a cocktail. But I would say try it in a cocktail if you can, because it makes the cocktail turn top quality like the whiskey, if that makes sense. Like I really like old fashioned, and with this, nothing's compared to this. I've used like bourbons, I've used American single malt, and just the spirit in Ardnamurchan, it just sings. It gets through all that, like salty, bit pineapple-y. Oh, what's Elvis? There's a place that does an Elvis burger which has peanut butter and jam on it, or peanut butter and jelly. Cocktail whiskey. Why are you using profanity on this channel? I can only apologize. No, I'm not. I really enjoyed cocktails growing up. I really enjoyed making cocktails, but it is stellar. Oh, good choice, Jeff. You and Roy's good books now. Yeah, I think you have to say it to be on the VPub. You've got to you've got to sacrifice 3 minutes of time to Ardnamurchan. And like I joke, and I made a joke about it being on the hype train with Thomas the Tank Engine background, but it is well worth the hype. This really is. It's like salty as well, like salted pineapple, peanut butter. Can you get salted peanut butter? Is that a thing? This is like the Drown Face podcast now. They like a bit of peanut butter chat on there. Cocktail, not this again. That's it. Everyone hit the dislike button. I'm sure everyone's already hit the dislike button, but just in case, I'm going to use this little banner that I made. Slap a like. I was ready for that. Peanut butter jelly time. Yeah, I've tried it as a sandwich. I personally don't see the appeal, or peanut butter and jam. But yeah, peanut butter and jelly on a burger was really good. Open your mind to cocktails and Tumblr Club. I'm all for Tumblr Club. If I want to sit and watch like telly and just have a dram to sip and not think about like Cutty Sark Prohibition's brilliant in a Tumblr. But I'm very much I'm far from a purist. I'm trying to think of a word beginning with P that would describe me apart from pathetic. I'm, as Roy would say, whiskey curious, and I'm happy to, try things. I'm very far from whiskey. I'm not a whiskey like aficionado. I'm just a man, barely a man, to be honest. I'm just some person who enjoys chatting about whiskey. So thank you all for listening. Yet to have a bad Ardnamurchan jam. I don't think that's a thing. I don't know if it's just because their spirit's so good or if their like cask standards just amazing. But yeah, they're currently riding this wave of hype, and I think frankly it's well deserved. So grab a bottle and dive in. If you want to try, that is. I'm not sponsored. How can you mention Ardnamurchan and cocktails in 1 minute? It's 1:30 here. I must go to bed, but I've enjoyed Jeff's banter and subscribed. Thank you for that. Good night, everyone. Enjoy your evening. Thank you so much for joining in. Salted caramel, why not salted peanut butter? I'm sure there must be a thing. If not, you've heard it here first, and I want commission. It's definitely a thing. Okay, it must be. What's this? No, peanut butter and banana I agree with, but peanut butter and Marmite is definitely crossing some kind of line. Or on a burger. When I meet you, Rob, in Glasgow, we'll find a van. I'll bring a jar of peanut butter. You bring the jam, and we'll have a good evening. That sounds very weird. What happens at Glasgow Whisky Festival stays at promiscuous. That's the word I was looking for. I'm happy with pathetic, to be honest. Ardna gherkin. See, I've not tried this. I've heard amazing things about this Ardna gherkin. I like gherkins. I like Ardnamurchan. This is my jam, and I'm not sure why they haven't done like an Ardna gherkin. Probably because it wouldn't be whiskey and all these other things, but like Ardnamurchan in a gherkin cask, that would be the dream. Right, I think that's all the bottles. Hopefully everyone's enjoyed my ramblings. I think it's about time I just seen a few good comments coming. I have to get consent from Mrs. Patrick like that. It's all right. I've already messaged. She said she's glad to see the back of you for a few days. I'll bring you back in one piece. Peace. Graham Fraser, important question. Is there a quiz at the end tonight? Well, you make a very good point, and I'm seeing some chap getting himself ready in the green room, and I think this is the prime time to start and to move on to someone who knows what they're doing better than I do. Let's just quickly hide all this stuff. And time to go to the one, the only, Ben, Whiskey with Molly, possibly without Molly, to do the quiz. Have I done this right? Good evening. You're muted.
Hey, Jeff. How are you doing?
All good, thank you. Thank you for waiting so patiently to get my rambles. I'm very much...
No problem at all. I'm going to have to take these off. These were for effect. I actually can't see anything without my actual glasses on. So there we go. Before we move to the quiz, Jeff, just want to say, as everyone said in the comments, really entertaining tonight, and you've done a superb job. So really well done, mate.
Oh, cheers. I'm going to kick you now because I don't like compliments. No, thank you for waiting so patiently, and well done for wearing your Aquavite polo top. I did try mine on. Unfortunately, I looked like an overstuffed sausage in it, so I thought I'd better stick to the shirts.
Yeah, I also, with the glasses, I also was going to wear a shirt as well, but I actually don't. I mean, the wife saw me taking down the curtains, and she was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "That's okay. I'll leave it."
As a man with taste, you wouldn't shame yourself so much, right? So I'll bring up the quiz, and then I'll let you take charge. So I've not seen this. I have skimmed it as I tried. Are you able to take charge of it?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Perfect.
No problem. So,
right,
thanks for giving me a ton of notice for doing this for you, Jeff. It was great. So I pulled this together really quickly. It's a quiz pulled together quickly, so bear that in mind when we're doing it. I asked you what your theme was for tonight. You didn't know what your theme was for tonight when I asked you, but actually a lot of what we've talked about tonight, I've managed to hit in the quiz, so I'm quite happy. If you're a subscriber of Jeff's, you'll definitely have an advantage tonight as well, but hopefully we all enjoy the quiz. So let's just get into it.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, so question number 1. Starting production in 2006, which English distillery was the first to start production in over 100 years? Was it the Cotswolds? Was it the English Whisky Company, St. George's Distillery, or was it the Lakes?
Wow. My answer's early doors in the chat, so then I can't say. I can't wait. I normally wait until I see a few people on questions I don't know. I think I know this one.
Hey, listen,
you did...
buddy, there's nothing wrong with following the crowd. It's VPub quiz. You can follow the crowd. A lot of people do. So you put your answer in the chat. I can see.
Yep, I've gone for B, just because they had the dragon, didn't they, for a bit?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think everyone's gone for B. Oh, and got
I think most people have gone for B on the chat as well, haven't they? So
yeah. That's very kind of you. Cheers, Roy. You go off to bed. Enjoy your holiday. Don't put yourself through this. Don't watch me do awful at the quiz, which I should do good at.
You should do good at, because quite a bit of it's about you, so you should be all right. But yeah, most people in the chat have gone B. In fact, I think everybody in the chat has gone B. And the answer is, of course, B. So that's a great start for everyone.
Only downhill now.
All downhill from here. So we literally just talked about it, but your 6th video on your channel was the first time your face appeared, because your first 5 videos were just audio. But you reviewed Cutty Sark Prohibition. But what was the blooper that happened on your, and you left it in, you didn't even edit it out, you left it in the video. Was it that the cork snapped? Was it that you knocked your glass over with the bottle? Or was it that your mic fell into view?
Yeah, that's probably the proudest moment. From that point, I knew I had a unique style on YouTube. I didn't think people wanted to. Yes, I did the first few videos. I didn't think people would want to see my face. So yeah, I practiced some without my face, and then I was so passionate about Cutty Sark, I had to bring it in.
I was actually going to do a question on your first 5 videos, because I think your first 5 videos were 38 seconds long or something.
Yeah, yeah, they were, with like 3 views each.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're getting a couple of A's, a couple of C's on this as well.
I will say, if people could see on my screen now, it's not to give away, but the mic is already on screen, and I don't see that as a problem.
But you've changed your mic about 4 or 5 times since those days, right?
Yeah, it's still awful, but I'm trying.
Yeah. Okay, so for anyone that said C, you're not right. Jeff's way too classy to knock his glass over with his bottle. So the answer is A, the cork snapped. And he just, like an absolute pro, edited it into the video and made his joke about it in the way that Jeff does. And cork snapped in the bottle.
Yeah, it's something I couldn't have planned. And I think I was very grateful it did happen, because I was an absolute, like tonight, I was just bricking it. And like, because I'm not a natural on camera, and kind of, I thought, well, things have gone really wrong already. It can't get any worse.
Do you know what, as well, when I watched it, it proper snapped as well. It was like it was like right in there, right?
It wasn't like a crumble. It was just full. Yeah, totally. Good times. And since then, the channel's got so much worse.
Not at all, mate. Not at all. Okay, question 3. I've tried to keep a little bit to the sort of VPub quiz thing. So this is if you've been reading Dramface, you will have a little advantage on this one. But which Islay distillery has redesigned one of its co-range bottlings to reduce its carbon footprint? Is that Ardbeg, Bruichladdich, or Kilchoman?
Yep, I'm 3 for 3 so far, I think. It's about design. This is my jam.
Well, it's not by mistake, Jeff. I've tried to steer this around.
You're saying with the less than a day notice I gave you, you've managed to put thought into it. That's more than I do.
Yeah.
As in my latest video says, any nod to Rick Astley, I'm always happy to see.
Jimmy Lake doesn't care. It's good. Yeah, so most people getting this right. What are you going for, Jeff?
Brook Laddie.
Yeah.
Because
so I quite like it. I like the new bottle, actually. Don't mess with the classics, literally, no pun intended. It is classic Laddie. But yeah, they've done some good stuff with that to reduce their carbon footprint. And what do you think? I quite like the new bottle.
Yeah, it looks a lot like the same shape as Hugo Boss as their aftershave bottle, but I definitely prefer it. I'm all for squat bottles. I think squat bottles are way better than tall bottles that you can't fit onto a shelf.
And do you keep your tins? I mean, I know personally my tins go straight in the recycling. I don't keep tins on my shelf at all.
I only keep a few. So I've got behind me, I've only got the Rock Island one and then the Roy's Loch Lomond. They're the only two I've kept. I do try to use them for other things, but it's like I don't need it. And yeah, it's all for the greater good, isn't it? Back to Hot Fuzz there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, good stuff. Question 4. Random stab in the dark, but we did sort of talk about this earlier, which was the UK saw what rise in alcohol duty tax on Tuesday? Was it 10.1%, 1.1%, or 0.1%?
So this is the one I don't know. I'm aware of it, and it's like you've watched the VPub in the future because you knew I would mention it. But I don't know what the percentage is. I'm just gonna have a guess. I've put mine in the chat, but I'm not confident on it. No, I see other people gone for other things.
Okay, we've got some A's and some B's coming in.
A sounded too big and C sounded too small.
Yeah, let's just let them come in. Yeah, so it was the Robin Bar Stewards that has created a bit of kickback from the industry, but it was unfortunately 10.1%.
Oh, I could have spat my drink out then.
Yeah.
Oh dear. But no perfect score for me tonight.
So a few people have lost a 10 out of 10 there, unfortunately. Yeah. But Andrew Butler still on 4 out of 4. Mike Molasses still on 4 out of 4. Jerry Miller, you can definitely pull it back. BMO's still on 4 out of 4. So let's see what we got. 5. So it's a picture round. Slightly different picture round tonight. But which English whiskey distillery are these people from?
It's good branding, it is.
Is it Bimber? Is it Circumstance? Or is it Dartmoor?
Yeah, it's a really, really nice design that is on their t-shirts. Have you been to this distillery?
I haven't. No, I've done a couple of tastings from them. I've tried the whiskey, but I've not been to the actual distillery.
Yeah, it's one of the, without giving anything away, it's one of the 3 distilleries I've been to. This one is.
It's pretty close to you, right? Not to give anything away.
Yeah. I think it could actually be the closest to me.
Yeah, I thought that when I was putting it together, I did think it was probably it's like knowing your address. I thought it was the closest to you.
Yeah,
okay, we've got. Sorry, go on, Jeff.
I was going to say, have you been looking at where I live again?
Yeah. Google Maps has its.
Don't go here. It's like on Lion King. You see the shadowy places. You don't go there.
That's all right. So, if you look at the T-shirt, that is the distillery branding, where they're from. I think, Jeff, you maybe correct me, but I think these are kind of founder members of it, the people that started up the distillery.
Yeah, I recognise the person on the left. He was the person there, so I assume so.
Yeah. So this is Circumstance Distillery. which you can see there on the barrel is their branding, both on the bottles and on the barrels that they use.
I'd like to give a shout out to Pete Head, as it's the first time I met him in person. Definitely won't be the last. And his ankle took a beating in Bristol, let's just say. He wasn't ready for Bristol life.
And it says a lot about Bristol that, you know, when you take a beating in Bristol, it's your ankle that bears the brunt of it.
There's some dangerous curbs there are.
Yeah. Okay. Question 6. Banana skin here, so everyone hold on to your hats. But recently on the Jeff Whisky YouTube channel, he did which of the following? He reviewed 100 whiskies in one video. He used ChatGPT to decide the best whiskey, or he got Ardbeg wrong.
So I should know this. I'm now questioning.
It's your channel.
I'm now questioning what it is. There's a banana skin. Sugar Kitty taking a beating in Bristol. It's a Motorhead tour I would definitely go to watch. Yeah, I think I know. Do I? I might just private chat you just so I don't embarrass myself in the main chat. I'm gonna guess. Right, I've put mine in the chat now. I don't want to say it out loud just in case people steal. Because I think there's like a good 7-second delay. I think I timed it from when we speak to when it's seen on the screen.
Yeah, 100%. So a lot of people have gone C after you went C. But the fact you've gone C, does that mean that in your last video you didn't review 100 whiskies in one video?
Not to spoil it, but technically I didn't review 100 whiskies.
Oh. Well, it was... Yeah,
that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was meant to be. But I can't count, I discovered.
I think your video was called I Review 100 Whiskies, was it not?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it all came down to I couldn't count and I missed off 5 whiskies.
Well, look, it's a free pass tonight because they're all right.
So I weren't sure if you were being sneaky with the 100 whiskies because I couldn't count, and then the chat GBT to decide the best whiskey, because I think I did. I typed in GBT, the actual phrase I think I got was best Scotch, and then I did best bourbon. Because best whiskey gave me no answer, surprisingly enough. So I weren't sure if you were being extra sly there. But no, you're just being kind.
Just being kind. Just being kind to everyone.
We're not trustworthy. We're not very trusting down south.
Loads of people have got the pass mark. Jimmy Legg still struggling on 3 out of 6. Jimmy, but Andrew Piers, Andrew Butler, Molasses, Helen and Andy all still on 6. So we're still on for some 10s tonight. So 1 for the subscribers. If you haven't seen a Jeff Whisky review yet, you need to get on them. But Jeff reviews his whiskies out of how many Jeffs? 16 Jeffs, 18 Jeffs, or 24 Jeffs? And if you get this wrong, Jeff, the quiz ends here.
That sounds like a plan. I'm ready for bed. Yeah, it's such a daft and vain system naming it after myself.
Jimmy Legg said, to be fair, my score is low out of spite.
I feel that. I feel that. I know. I'm 85% sure I know this one.
You're 85% sure you know what your own scoring system is. Brilliant.
That's normally, I don't get to the score part normally after a good couple of drams I edit out, you know. It could be anything at that point.
Well, look, the chat has knocked it out of the park, apart from Peter Hunt. So the answer is 24 Jeffs. So you've got 4 categories that you give 6 Jeffs in each category, right?
Yeah, that's one. So I do experience, which is kind of like how it looks, the branding, the marketing, like non-chill filtered, color added, like the website, just kind of like the whole package. And then I go on to the nose. Obviously, we all know what the nose is. It's just me shoving my nose into a glass. And then on to taste. I have to think about this. That's concerning, isn't it? It's obviously, how does the taste compare? Is it thick, thin, like the viscosity of it, the flavors, and then on to value. So by doing out of 6, it means I've got a flat point in the middle. I can do 3. So if something's like, yeah, that's worth 40 quid, you can get a good 3. So that was kind of the reason I did it out of it all. But I think it's a very strange, confusing system. It is.
I like the fact that you include value in your review, because I think for people like you and me, it's maybe not for everyone, but I think value is really important. I mean, I can taste the whiskey on a tweet tasting that I get sent the whiskeys for free, and I go, wow, that's an amazing whiskey, and then I get told it's the new, to pick on someone, Glencairn 18, and it's 100 and something pound a bottle, and it's like, it's nice, but I'm not going to spend that money on it, you know. So
exactly. And I think the value thing at the end as well, it gives cheaper whiskies a chance to kind of match really expensive ones. It's almost like a bit of a leveler. But yeah, and the reason I like it in 4 categories is I know not everyone cares about the experience, if it's coloured, chill filtered, or because that often comes under the taste as well. Because if you can taste that it's low ABV, or if you can taste that it's tastes like burnt caramel, so you can kind of chop off that block, so people can think, okay, I'm not interested in the value and I'm not interested in the experience. I can then see what the score is out of 12. So it was a way, I thought, to get more people to focus on the elements they were more interested in.
Yeah, no, definitely. I like it. It's good. Okay. This is a random question.
I know that I think I know it.
But Method Madness is a range of expressions from which distillery? Bit of an Irish one. I had to give myself something within this quiz. So is it Middleton, Tullamore Dew, or Roe & Co?
I do proudly know this one because it's been on my shopping list for a long time. One of their bottles has. It was what was the wood? It was a strange wood finish, a strange wood cask. I can't remember now. Maybe chestnut? Was it chestnut? No, I don't know.
No.
It was something peculiar. I'll put my answer in the chat.
Oh, Whiskey Wings is saying it is chestnut.
It's something, it popped up. I think it was on maybe a podcast or something I heard, and I thought it sounded so peculiar.
Yeah, Peter Hunt's confirming it's chestnut as well. Says it's sublime.
Oh, so that's putting it higher at my list. I think it's increased so much in prices since I first added it. I would, if anyone does know, on Tullamore Dew, why is there a dog on the cork, like a greyhound? Does anyone know?
Not me.
No, it's just something I recently chucked the bottle into recycling, and I spotted that, and I've not picked up on that before.
On the chestnut cask, I did Blind Drams consortium with Brian Malt Musings a couple of months ago, and there's a Swedish distillery called Agitator, and they vacuum distill their whiskey, and they do a chestnut cask 3-year-old, and pretty much everyone thought it was a much older whiskey than the 3-year-old, and it scored really highly. So yeah, chestnut cask is really, really interesting.
Is it a tighter wood grain chestnut? Is that the reason?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. And I also don't know, by the way, when I say it's vacuum distilled, what that means. I actually asked Michael Henry was on that tasting as well, and I asked him, what does vacuum distilled bring to the process? And he actually didn't know either what the difference, what the changes that brings. But anyway, the answer,
someone bringing in a Dyson and kind of sucking the air out of the cask kind of job.
Put a big bag around it, and
a big Henry.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, literally, no pun intended. Henry Hoover. So I think most people have got this. It is, of course, Middleton. There's the bottle there, or one of the bottles.
Okay. Stunning labels and that lot on it.
Yeah, it looks great, doesn't it? It's well branded.
I think that's probably one of the reasons why it's on my list as well, just because of the aesthetics of it.
Question 9 is recent whiskey news. So Kelsey McKitchney has been appointed malt master at which Speyside distillery this week? Is it Tamdhu, Strathyla, or Balvenie?
So this is definitely one that I have no clue on. I think I'm going to go for a stab in the dark.
I know, Jimmy. Yeah, malt master. That's her official title. Yeah,
it's a good term to be a malt master. I'm going to guess and go for. I put my answer down as B, but I'm thinking I should have gone for A.
Oh, look at that, Jeff. You've got Campai Planet in the chat as well. Good to see you, buddy.
That's good going. Surely, is it very early doors or very late in the evening for him?
It'll be early doors. He'll be 8. We just come back from Japan. 8 hours ahead. So it'll be 8 in the morning.
That's a good time to jump on and grab a dram and get the last couple of answers.
Absolutely. So yeah, you've not got it right. You should have followed the crowd, Jeff. It is Balvenie.
No, I was way off. That's right. I've hit a pass, Mac. I'm happy with that.
Okay, so let's see some scores. Let's wait for some scores coming in the chat. Let's see what we've got. Hellswid's on a 9 out of 9. Pete Head's on a 9 out of 9. Andrew Butler's on a 9 out of 9. BMO's on a 9 out of 9. Jeff, you're an 8. Whiskey Wings is cheating because he's on a 9.5 out of 9. I don't know how that's even possible. Des is on a 9 out of 9. So, yeah, we've got a few possibles.
It's concerning how many people have a better score at a quiz that's got a lot of questions about me than I have.
Yeah, well, you know, the slap hat sum involves your inside leg measurement, so you should be all right. You'll be fine. No, it doesn't. I'm joking.
Oh, that's who it was earlier at the door.
So, question 10 tonight is a sum. Well, it's a sum and a question. You're all on his channel, so the first part is easy. You can look at it. It's dead easy. Unless, oh God, do you know what I never thought? Unless a whole load of people have joined tonight, and this has changed since I wrote the question. If you divide the number of Jeff Whisky YouTube followers by 10, you'll get a number. If you subtract that number from 2023, which is obviously the year we're in, you'll get a new year. Which Scottish distillery opened in this year? Is it a Gordon and MacPhail owned distillery, a Campari owned distillery, or a Remy Cointreau owned distillery?
This is a ridiculous question. Can we go back to the inside leg one?
That's for the green room afterwards.
Right, perfect.
We don't do that in public.
That's why I wore the shorts. I'm having to do maths here in my head. The thing is, for me, I think it shows me a different number than what it shows everyone else. So that's my excuse anyway. Because I think it rounds off, doesn't it, on YouTube, front end?
Yeah, so well, so for fairness, because everyone can pretty much see it anyway on your thing, it's you're 1.25k. So 125 is the number.
Perfect, thank you. That's a bit I was struggling with. I have no clue. I'm just going to guess A, B, or C. I'm going to go with A. What's everyone else going for?
Oh,
C's,
there you go.
B's,
your
C's.
VPub has worked because Whiskey Wings is saying you're now at 1.26. So in fairness, I will let everyone know it was 1.25 when I wrote this question.
So I've had at least one person join. So it was,
Yeah.
I looked before and I think it was 1.259.
Okay.
Because I was being vain and I thought, yeah, let's see if I can convince one person to hang around. I thought I would lose people, to be honest.
So I think we've got our answers in. Quite a lot of people going for A, a few C's, a couple of B's. Okay, so if you know your distillery owners, you will know that all of those just own one distillery. Gordon MacPhail is Ben Romack, Campari is Glen Grant, and Remy Cointreau is Bruichladdich. And the answer for those people looking for a 10 out of 10 is Ben Romack.
Oh. Surprised to get that. I did just guess, to be fair. 18.
So I have just managed to delete the chat. There we go. So Whiskey Wings, I'm ignoring because he says he's got 9.5 out of 10, which can't be a thing. The question is invalid. Everyone point and blame at Whiskey with Molly. No, sorry, I told you what the number was. Petehead actually gave the answer away in the chat. So anyone that got that question wrong, shame on you. Petehead got 10 out of 10. Well done, Frank. Whiskey and Wine Trails, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 10. Jeffs. Andrew Butler got 10 out of 10. Andrew Peters, 9 out of 10. Des got 10 out of 10. Well done. Roy Aquavite got 9, celebrating like a maniac. Sugar Kitty got 9. So a few 10s. So well done, everyone that got 10 out of 10. And apologies for the quickly cobbled together quiz.
No, thank you so much for doing it. It was
No
brilliant. I think I got 2 wrong. I think I can't remember. It's either 1 wrong, at least 1 wrong, but I think I got 2 wrong. So
I don't think any of them were about you, though. So at least you see face on that.
Yeah, at least I'm vain enough to know myself. I know what you're saying. No, that's brilliant. Thank you for doing that, Ben. That's very kind of you. And you very kindly offered when Roy said about me taking over the VPub, and I said I'll get back to you, and then I didn't get back to you for a very, very long time. So thank you for piling it all together at the last minute.
No problem. Happy to help.
Yeah, it was all very much a blur, me learning all this. So hopefully it wasn't too bad. So I'm grateful for your help, Ben, and for testing as well before and calming my very panicked nerves and the whole learning the mute button as well.
Yeah.
Everyone should know that by now. From 2020, everyone should know that the mute button's always on, and it's still.
And then it happened to me when I joined. I was on mute, so yeah.
You just did that to make me feel better, and I'm very grateful. All right, I'll have a chat with you at the end, Ben. If you want to stick around there. If you want to go to bed, I completely understand.
I'm all good. I'll hang around.
Cheers. All the best, mate. Cheers. So thank you so much all for joining on the quiz. Cheers to Ben for doing a brilliant quiz. Cheers to everyone who's watched this. There's 54 people still in, and it's well past my bedtime. I think that's a good point to round it off. Cheers to Roy for doing the VPub, for bringing all of us whiskey nerds together. I've been so lucky to have been embraced by the whiskey world. I'm sure this will probably be one and done on the VPub, and Roy will be sensible and never let me darken his doors again. And for that, thank you all. Wait there. Before I sign off, I'm going to try to do it professionally. Let's get ready. So all the best. Thank you all. Have a good evening, and cheers to the next one.